Ladies and gentlemen, there's a full moon tonight. The hurricane that hit Florida didn't turn out as badly as they expected. It's been pretty hot in the east. Item. The United States Naval Medical School says that shaving does not make the beard grow faster. Interesting fact. The pounding and banging in hot water and steam pipes is called water hammer. Item.
Wait a minute, Orson.
What is it, Dorothy?
I don't think that's an interesting fact at all.
I do.
Banging in hot water pipes is called water hammer. It's silly.
It isn't silly at all, Joe. That's what it's called, water hammer.
Suppose it is.
Why bring it up now?
Everybody's heard steam pipes banging. I just thought it was of some interest to know what it's
Well,
called.
know, water hammer.
Yes, it's also called hydraulic shock.
Profound and disturbing saying. Can I give one of those? Is that all right with everybody?
Sure, all right.
Profound and disturbing saying. With all the multiplicity of knowledge there is, just one thing, happily, that no man knows. Till next week, then, speaking for Lady Esther and for everybody in the Mercury Theater, I remain as always, obediently yours.
The first week was absolutely glorious, from my morning coffee to sunrise to my work being incredibly efficient. But I kind of saw it coming. I knew that things were going to start falling apart. Because things always fall apart when you embrace these kinds of rapid improvements, as opposed to what's known as Kaizen or continuous improvement. The falling apart coincided with the appropriately called storming phase in week 2.
And ask him to forgive you. You must tell him that you did it only because you were stupid.
There were some imperfections that I started to embrace during week 2. Sometimes I went to bed a little bit late. I'd snooze every morning and I started to take naps in the afternoons. And if you look at it a certain way, these could seem like failures, but I decided to embrace them sort of in light of imagining that there are membership tiers to the 5 AM Club. And I knew that I wasn't going to go for a gold membership because trying to go for that kind of perfection in the short term is a surefire way to make sure that this isn't sustainable for the long run. So I embraced being a blue member. Now, going to bed late and taking naps in the afternoon wasn't part of the plan, but snoozing definitely was. So I would set my alarm for 5 o'clock in the morning with 3 snoozes at 5-minute intervals each. So if everything went according to plan, I would get out of bed around 5:15. And I embraced these kinds of imperfections because the goal right from the start was to try and see if I could make this sustainable in the long run. So I was hoping to, if it works, after the 30-day free trial period being part of the 5 AM Club, I was hoping to be in a place where I could go, you know, that worked. I'd actually like to continue doing this. Now, obviously I made that decision after week 4 and we'll get there, but there was something else that completely blindsided me during week 2. Okay, so it's pretty much just past 11 and I'm tired. But I need to finish this video and my deadline's 12 o'clock tomorrow midnight. Yeah, but this feels like the first time where I feel like waking up at 5 AM might actually be better than the way I've been doing things for the past 5 years. Yeah. We'll see about that.
Begin after 8 taps. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
Now this is where things started to fall apart. Because the whole reason I was curious to try waking up at 5 AM was because I would ideally be able to split my day in 2 halves. I would work from 5:30 till about lunchtime on my master's research, have lunch, and then switch over to working on my filmmaking career, because those are the 2 areas in which I'm currently pursuing excellence. I don't want to allocate as much energy to both of those and steward them well in with the overarching goal of becoming a Renaissance person. Now, my original expectation was that by the time lunch came around, I would have enough energy in my tank to just switch over to my filmmaking activities. But what I didn't account for was the fact that by the time lunch rolled around, I would have a whole day's worth of work done. So it just makes complete sense that I would be as tired in the early afternoon as I would normally be in the late afternoon. But because I didn't take account of that, and because I'm passionate about filmmaking, I just tried to switch over into my filmmaking activities and quickly tired myself out. So for the first couple of weeks, I just didn't realize that after lunch I really just needed to rest. And because everything was go, 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 I quickly deteriorated into the kind of person that I really don't want to be. Silence on set! Kom. Gaan jy nou stil bly? I apologized to Janku, my flatmate, after that week. En ek het 'n mini meltdown gehad.
Wat?
En ek het 'n mini meltdown
In die
gehad.
begin ja, maar nou het jy mos, ek weet nie, wat lekker weer adapted.
I took Sunday off. I was running solo on not solo, so low. On love, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, self-control. That I just really needed to rest. And then I tried again on Monday. Now we all know from experience that this kind of artificial blue light is incredibly disruptive in the morning. It kind of feels, to me it feels like it burns my brain, which is why I avoided it completely. So I only use this orange light in the morning to see. I set my cell phone to grayscale with the blue light filter on, and then I also set my laptop screen to have a very orange hue, or just to have the nighttime display on during the mornings. But at first I thought this was a little bit anecdotal. I did it though because it felt like it helped me ease into the morning. But I wasn't going to mention it until I read a National Geographic article about our sleep cycles. And what I didn't know was that our sleep cycle, or our circadian cycle, pretty much is reset every day. And it's determined by light. So the hormone that regulates your circadian cycle is called melatonin, and melatonin releases as the sun sets, and then it slowly dissipates at sunrise. But this type of artificial blue light, or any light switch in your house, likely suppresses melatonin release, especially our cell phone screens or laptop screens. So avoiding this kind of artificial blue light then promotes a more natural circadian cycle, which at least in part accounts for that sensation that I had in the mornings of feeling like I could just ease into the day. So the flip side of this coin is, if you just want to be jarred awake in the morning, putting on a whole bunch of lights is probably a good idea. But I found the experience to be a lot more enjoyable, just being able to ease into the day, ease into my work, have a cup of coffee. Here's the big takeaway. If you can make these kinds of small improvements that make the big change more enjoyable, then it's likely to be more sustainable in the long run. Silence on set!
Jy wakker?
En dan kon nie slaap nie.
Gaan jy saam die 5 AM club join?
Nee, nog nie.
Hello. Oh, hello, Jeff.
I have been struggling to wake up, especially if I don't get to bed on time. So it's the last week. What I'm gonna do this week is use the timer in the coffee machine. So it's actually gonna start making coffee 5:20, which still gives me 20 minutes to snooze. And then there's that, I'm pretty excited about just being able to wake up, come downstairs, and then the coffee's already brewing. So I think if you can do those kinds of small things to make yourself excited to get up, those little things go a long way. Now, making these kinds of tiny changes and adapting based on the lessons that I learned made days 22 to 30 just a lot more enjoyable. And I do kind of feel like I'm getting used to the rhythm, which leads us to the much anticipated question: am I going to commit and renew my 5 AM club membership? Because I technically don't have to. I can just go back to my normal routine, but